being around you guys so much, all you got, even when you win, you're always like, if. It's like, you guys live in if so much.
Oh, no doubt. That's all of gambling, right? IF, right at the top of the eye chart. Big I, big fucking F.
So to me, going in, try and get rid of one of the ifs. Put some money on the fucking chalk in these box scenarios. You're not being a chalk-eating pig. You'll throw balloons on the top, but don't fuck yourself before you begin.
Can you win in life when you're trying to protect your ass? That's really the question that you're asking yourself. See, the Derby is not really about a horse race. It's about life in general. It's about looking in the mirror and asking yourself, what kind of balls do you really have?
The Derby's not a horse.
It's self-assessment time, people. It's coming up on Saturday.
It's about life.
6:30. See what kind of person you really are. Do you have the balls to leave out the chalk?
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very special. Good morning, everybody. Very appropriate conversation that we had last week about the Kentucky Derby. Do you have the balls to say fuck the favorites was the theme of the show that day. And we sort of did, and yet at the same time, what was it, a fruitful maneuver to leave out all of the favorites and exotics? No, because Sierra Leone was right there, bumping and grinding all the way. I hope we get this much action that we saw between Sierra Leone and Forever Young in the stretch of the Kentucky Derby from the ferocious Kambosos Lomachenko fight coming up over the weekend. That's going to be a good one. I mean, a couple of difficult names to pronounce and to buy into, but Lomachenko, of course, been around a long time. You think that this guy was washed up a while ago, Lubie? That you're surprised he's still fighting? I guess. I mean, he's been around forever when you count his amateur career, but he hasn't really been doing that much. I mean, you would say while he showed signs of being spectacular at times, I mean, he came into the pros under such high hype, much like LeBron James was in basketball. Maybe not quite as well promoted. I mean, a basketball player obviously is going to get more attention than a boxer. But wow, there was a lot of hype in the boxing world about this guy, Lomachenko.
Yeah.
And he comes in, he fights a guy, a tough Mexican competitor, one of these guys that is always going to be a really difficult opponent. And the guy comes in like 20 pounds overweight, beats Lomachenko in his first pro fight. And everybody's like, oh, what the fuck was all the hype about? But came back and distinguished himself very well. Looked like a really, really tough guy to contend with. And he's going to be in there. But, the fight that you were expecting last night, Lubie, and you've been calling for this all season. Did you have the balls to – it would have taken some serious courage.
I said it yesterday.
To take the Cavs on the money line, though? I mean, would you have thought they win the game outright?
Money line? No. I thought the Cavs should be much more in the series than I felt they were going to be because of contributions of Darius Garland and Evan Mobley or lack thereof. But I knew they had those guys there, and Donovan Mitchell it's funny for all the talk about Jalen Brunson and then the great things we're seeing from SGA and Edwards out west. Mitchell's sort of been forgotten. Like if you look at his numbers, he's done it every night. It's just he doesn't have help. And whatever help Brunson's getting, the Cavs actually have more talent, but he's getting even less help. So Mitchell's sort of gotten forgotten. But it was like if he got any help, they should be at least in the game. I figured they may finally be able to corral fucking Derek White, and they should be able to be within 13. I didn't think they'd win in Boston. The way that Tatum and Brown can play, the way that the refs insert themselves at annoying ass times. Like I figured Boston would win both those games, but I thought the Cavs should be able to cover 13. The fact that they were
13 in the hook. Yeah. I think it might've gone off 13.
I saw 13. 13 in the hook is what I saw most of the time, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I would wonder, we should get a hold of Mark Lawrence and see if there's a stat on this, where a team gets blown up by 25 after being offered double digits in the first game of a series, and then you are offered even more points with that team in the subsequent game, where you're thinking, if anything, from game 1 to game 2, the Cavaliers, if they had any dignity whatsoever, are going to go out there and try to make a better account of themselves. So certainly you wouldn't think that they would get blown out in worse fashion by a Celtic team that you have held in question. I mean, you had Derek White, and he was no more effective last night shooting threes than Betty White would have been if you dug her up from the grave. How bad was the luck of Betty White? Where I guess if you live to be like within a couple of days of 100.
Didn't she live to because she almost got to 100 but didn't make it to 100?
Well, there was a kiss of death factor there where People magazine was up in racks at all grocery store checkout counters.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how great it was that she was going to be celebrating her 100th birthday, and then she never got there.
Yeah,
They
because
got
she
a
was.
picture of Betty White on the cover, and it's like, Betty White getting ready to celebrate 100, and like 2 days before she checks out. Unbelievable.
Well, because she was still like acting, like you were still seeing her
Yes.
do shows and stuff. Like she was, it
Right.
wasn't like she was a feeble. Like at 99 looked like people in their 60s wish they looked like. Like she was still doing shows and hosting stuff and emceeing, and it was so it wasn't like the free. It was like the free, at the free throw line. You don't want the guy to talk about
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Like,
he's made 92 straight, man. He's about to break Calvin Murphy's record. Brick.
you weren't worried about Betty White because she had no health issues. She was perfectly fine. It felt like, or at least we didn't know. But again, at 99, there's a lot going on probably. Like,
99. I mean, there's a lot going on with me, and I'm not even close to that yet. Unbelievable. You're wondering if you're ever going to be able to put your 2 feet on the ground again and maybe put one in front of the other. That would be nice. So yeah, it came as a surprise. I mean, even the Winter Hill gang, if they had inside information on this thing, couldn't have anticipated that the Celtics were going to get blown out like that. No Porzingis again. I don't know what the report is about him. You would think that they would probably need him by the time they get around to the next series. And they most likely figured that they were going to dispense of the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially after the first game in relatively simple fashion. Got by without Porzingis, win by 25. All kinds of stuff was out there. The number of games they've won by 25 plus points, a new record. This guy's doing something that he's never done before. All of these different things, superlatives were coming out about the Celtics. You would have thought that once again they had Robert Parrish and McHale and Bird coming out that door, and maybe Patino on the bench, but instead, I mean, they get smoked by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that was kind of fun. If you were an underdog player and you had the balls to say money line Cleveland, congratulations to you. We did have one of our very close friends who we follow vicariously with his betting action, thinking that, and I would have thought they were just doing their best, the bookies, to suck you in on I mean, how could you not take the Cleveland Cavaliers plus 13 and change in a playoff game where they had the opportunity already? Like I said, they suffered the indignity of the embarrassment of game one. Did they really expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to just mail in another one, or Boston to be that superior? You have to wonder. And so,
I mean, they did. They clearly did.
yeah, chalk players carried out in body bags from the casinos last night. And that was the case in the other game, too. I was just starting to buy into Oklahoma City. Doncic didn't look like he was 100% in that first game. He was struggling a little bit. Looked like he's banged up. I mean, they're beating this guy to death. And Doncic, look, does he have the ball for 22 at least of every 24-second possession?
Look, it's a lot of, and I was talking about this with the professor yesterday. It's a lot of what's the issue with the Cavs is I attribute it to youth. It's also maybe a lot of the time it's Mitchell's dominating the ball. Yeah. So it's hard for Garland and Mobley to get involved when they're just watching. And that was the thing. Yesterday, they actually moved the ball a lot more. Yeah. They got those guys involved. And you saw the team that I was looking to see with the Cavs. That's the problem with the Mavs a lot of the time, because both Kyrie and Luka are similar in that they want the ball in their hands. They want to ISO. And it's fun on the street. But in the NBA, it's why you like the Warriors before anyone even really noticed the Warriors, because you like
they move the ball,
beauty, or whatever aesthetic words,
the symmetry, the poetry, the just the intrinsic inherent beauty of watching the ball fly around like that.
They were 5 members that became one, and they just knew each other, and all the whatever that garbage you want.
Well, Denver sort of does that, or did until they ran into this brick wall here that they're facing now.
And that's the problem with the Mavs and I think that's as good as Doncic is. He's a top 2 player, 3.
Yeah. No, he's great. He was great last night.
He's so ball dominant, it slows everything down, and it allows the defense to get involved and allows the other team to get out on offense because no one's engaged. They're just sitting there looking in the sky.
They're hanging, man. They're waiting for that shot to go up there, hoping it's a brick, comes out to the free throw line, and they're off to the races. I noticed this. I mean, you've seen it before, and you know that Doncic is gonna dominate the ball. But I mean, to the level that he did in last night's game when I was watching, it was insane. I mean, he would dish the ball off and immediately get it back. It didn't matter what. I mean, they could have him double teamed, and whoever he threw the ball to would throw it right back to him, 30 feet from the basket with 6 seconds to go on the shot clock. I'm thinking, wow, I know Jason Kidd. I mean, this was a guy that was one of the assist leaders. Doncic is always up there in assists. I mean, he has a lot of triple doubles, so it's not like he's afraid to pass the ball or isn't a good passer. But with the ball in his hands that much, I didn't think that Dallas was coming back at least to win this game. And they held them at bay throughout the ball game. I mean, they were up like 8 or 9 points, it seemed like, throughout.
Yep.
And they went at 119 to 110 over Oklahoma City, who we just were willing to anoint. What the fuck do we know about basketball? Nothing, Lubie. Nothing.
I mean, look, it's every night. It's weird. You don't see this normally in the playoffs. But
A chalk league like the NBA, you don't see this kind of stuff.
It's changing every night. Look, I hope it continues tonight. I'd like to see the Nuggets hang around. It would be weird as fuck to see the Nuggets get down 3-0. Like, I don't know what to do.
Which I believe they are going to be after tonight. And yet you're thinking, all right, this is a championship caliber team. Yeah. That second game performance where it was so flat, I mean, flatter than the proverbial Parisian one-way model, yep. That it was hard to anticipate that they would take that and all of a sudden be able to magic wand it and turn it around on the road against a Minnesota team that looks like they're just playing great right now. Minnesota, I think, might be. Are they the favorite to win the Western Conference
right now?
I think they are.
I mean, they're up 2-0.
Yeah,
and we're on the road up 2-0.
Like that. Yes, yeah. I mean, look, everything's in their favor at this point, unless, of course, they lose tonight and tomorrow and fourth game. But I'm thinking Minnesota probably wins this, and maybe even. Can you imagine getting swept out of the postseason in the second round by an upstart team like the Minnesota Timberwolves? That would be a surprise, and I would imagine what would damage a lot of people's bankroll that thought that the Denver Nuggets were. I don't know that anybody thought that they were a cinch to repeat, but that was our opinion, though, that they probably were going to win it again. At least we thought that with a few weeks left in the regular season. Maybe that's not so much the case now. Rangers winners last night, Lubie. I don't know if you caught any of that. I mean, it's hard to follow everything, and I was flipping back and forth. I naturally had an interest in seeing the Celtics get clobbered because I love that kind of massive upset and turnaround. And then the Rangers on the ice against Carolina, my secret sleeper team, although favored at like 3-1 to win the Stanley Cup. You could probably get a pretty good price on Carolina now, as they appear to be dead and buried against the New York Rangers. Overtime win. This has been a very close, hotly contested series, and the Rangers prevail, and now they're up 3-0 in the series and have won 7 straight postseason games. Are we overlooking the Rangers because we have a tendency to do that?
I'm not overlooking. I'm pissed. It's annoying as fuck. It's funny. The games they're playing are tight games. They're not the actual games themselves. They're not dominating, but they win every fucking game. They're now 7-0 in the goddamn play. It's like as the Panthers are up big one night, down big the next night, struggling. Like the Rangers, who are not as talented. Look, I don't know if they'll admit to it because New York fans live in this delusional world, but I would have no problem admitting my team's not as talented when they're winning. Like the Panthers have probably the best team on paper.
Well, and they're 5-2 in the postseason. It's not like they're playing.
No, they've been good. But what I'm saying is like the Rangers, that was the point during the year when people weren't really paying attention to them because they have Chesterkin's good defense in the net. They had good defensively, but it's not like they have this roster of stars. They're like a New York.
Panarin, I mean, he came back. He was supposed to be. Remember, the big debate was you sign Panarin or Bobrovsky?
Yes, that was like.
And there was some interest in getting Panarin here, and then he wasn't all that great for the Rangers. But this year, he really found his stride again.
Look, they're a good team. I'm not trying to shit on them. What I'm trying to say is like they're not just loaded. Like the Panthers are fucking loaded. Like they just are. Like fucking Reinhart is like their 4th best player, and he was what 2nd in goals. He
looked like Pavel Berry this year.
So, like, the Rangers don't come off like that team, but they fucking win, and they win, and they win. Okay, like, hockey rewards those teams. Like, you don't have to have the most stars, as we saw last year. Like, you don't have to have the most star-studded roster in hockey, and it's starting to freak me out a little bit because this feels like the Panther team that I thought would really have a shot to get a goddamn cup. They're not 7-0, and the last 2 games of the or last 3, is it 3 of the last 4 games? The Rangers were losing, I think, in the 3rd, and found a way to not only win, but win in overtime.
Yeah,
which is the kind of shit that sort of gets rewarded in hockey. I feel like.
Vinny Trocheck, man, former Panther, was a very popular player here. Where did he go after he was with the Panthers? Was he with the Devils, Carolina? He was with somebody else, and then
he was good. Annoying.
Yeah, he ended up with the Rangers now, and he's been a real spark, a catalyst for them. So that's interesting. A lot of Ranger fans are happy about that 3-0, that series could have hinged on the outcome of that overtime period. And sure enough, the Rangers get the win. And then in the other game, the Dallas Stars bounced back and rallied. Colorado, I think, was up 2-0 in that game, or might have been. Maybe no. I think Dallas got the lead in that game. You're right, Lubie. Thanks for correcting me.
I didn't say
Anyway, they win at 5-3 behind Peter DeBoer, who's been one of those nomadic coaches that we had here. He was very good here. I think he went to the Devils after he was here.
Yes.
And remember that classic playoff series against the Devils, which the Devils prevailed. I remember, did we get tickets for like a game 7 there? Was that? Did I sit with you in the upper deck in the nosebleed for a Devils-Panthers game in the postseason?
It was the first round when the Panthers finally got back into the playoffs after we kept hearing young, and they couldn't do anything. And they did not win the series, but it was either 6 or 7, and it was a fucking war. And we weren't next to each other. We were both at the game. It was when we used to still get tickets very easily from the Panthers.
Remember that? Yeah, we used to be able to call somebody like you'd have 6 guys going, yeah, I got tickets for you. That was great.
Yes, that was fantastic.
That was good, though. I mean, it was a good vibe there in the arena. Everybody was optimistic. Peter DeBoer beat the Panthers, which had to be a little bit of retribution for him after getting canned when he had looked like he was a very competent coach. And then he ended up with San Jose, did well there. He gets fired. He goes to the Vegas Golden Knights, did well there, gets fired. And then now finds himself with the Dallas Stars. And, yeah, they've been real good. A lot of people like them to win the whole thing. So, a big comeback game for them last night against the Colorado Avalanche, who not that long ago, we were talking about them as if we knew something about them and thought that maybe they were indeed going to be Stanley Cup finalists and are contenders to win the whole championship this year. So that's been a bloodbath, though. And speaking of bloodbaths, I mean, could you have any more anticipation? Do you find yourself, I know this happens to me, Lubie, even though I'm a big hockey fan, I find myself, for some reason, watching more basketball in the beginning of the postseason.
Yes.
And yet I love the early round hockey action, and it's been spectacular. And you see how impossible it is to be a hockey player. I mean, it's to say it's a different culture is marginalizing the difference between hockey players and the way the game is contested and what's going on in the NBA, where everybody's, faking like they got hit and flopping and doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, in the other game, bodies are flying all over the place. It really does look like the finale of WrestleMania, and the refs are sitting there and they call nothing.
Yep.
Nothing. I mean, okay, they kicked 10 guys out after the fights, but gloves are everywhere. And there's shit all over the ice. There's blood splattered. It looks like the ring in an MMA match. Guys are coming on the ice without even equipment. I mean, it's fantastic.
It's amazing.
The difference in the chemistry that's involved in the sport and the makeup of the teams and the way that they relate to each other. And just a pleasure. And the action in the second round couldn't be any more insane. But this is going to be a beauty tonight. How could you not, even if you hated the Florida Panthers or the Boston Bruins, how could you not anticipate, if you're a sports fan, what's going to happen at the outset of this game and how this game will be contested after what transpired in game number 2?
Well, that's the thing is, I don't know what's going to actually happen in the game, but you're definitely as excited as you've ever been for a begin, because hockey can not be boring, but every instance in the playoffs is you're stressing it out, but the games can be long because, again, either not a lot happens, or even if you get a goal, it's okay, you're never out of it, whatever. So to me, I actually agree with you. I find myself watching a lot more basketball, and then I'll keep an eye on the hockey.
Basketball is certainly more well defined, for the viewer out there. I mean, what's supposed to happen, and you can see whether it's happening or not. Whereas hockey is largely abstract to watch. You can watch 10 minutes of sensational action where there's no score.
Exactly. So
if you're watching 10 minutes of spectacular action in the NBA, you're seeing highlight reel type of stuff.
100%. But that's the thing is this game's different because the way the other one ended, you're waiting to see if the beginning is something. I tend to believe it won't be. Your theory of the last
carryover jackpot, my friend. No? Doesn't this bad blood spill over into this game? I would imagine they start out in a sportsmanlike fashion, no?
I don't want to lose anyone. I actually, the Panthers, I want them to build on that I don't want them to just be, because you'll see that in playoffs, you'll see aberrations. I don't want that to be an aberration. I want them to build on that. If they lose half their fucking team because of penalty minutes and the Bruins take advantage of it, then it's all gone.
Doesn't some goon have to come off the Boston bench, though, and just decapitate Kachuk for the way he roughed up Pasternak? Is that not also part of the badge of honor of being a hockey player? They might even bring back Chara for this.
for you, Chara.
I mean, that 6'10" guy, you're looking out there in warm-ups and saying, who the fuck is that? Wow. Oh, Chara. Yeah, that's right.
No, he's in the wrong sport.
He wasn't really a goon, though, Chara. I mean,
No, he was good.
yeah. Yeah, no, they need to bring back somebody that can just come in there and knock out Kachuk. I think, but yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Sparks will be flying in that game. That's a good one. And the Oilers and the Canucks also get it on tonight in the NHL. As I mentioned, I'm in a pretty good fight coming up. I think that's tomorrow night. Our good friend Brad Jacobs involved in that
Nice.
top-ranked boxing. Kambosos in Australia, which is his own country, and he's going against Lomachenko, who has been around for a while, but. I don't know what he has left, but the guy's got tremendous skills. If he brings it to the table early in the fight, that's going to be a good one. So once again, you'll be seeing sparks flying in the ring. As been some pretty interesting fights lately, although I would have to say I didn't see Garcia and Haney. Do they replay these things at any time anymore, or is that a thing of the past?
I know you used to catch them on Showtime and HBO.
They were playing a week later, even if it was pay-per-view, and you look forward to that because you were too cheap to ante up and smart enough not to ante up the 100 in some of these fights. But I don't see any replays of this stuff being posted anymore.
I guess they just live on YouTube now, so you can probably watch it on YouTube whenever you want. I guess I don't. I know you've done that.
YouTube has the full fight up there. I would imagine they usually do like by the time the thing is over.
Yeah,
somebody has pirated this thing. It's almost. I remember you weren't around when this used to happen, where you used to go to a concert and bring some kind of cockamamie recording device, and you would record secretly live Jethro Tull or something.
Oh, geez, yeah, no.
And then some Fugazi album would come out as if it was done somewhere in Tijuana, and it would be like on green plastic instead of vinyl, and it was very shoddily recorded, and that was a big thing, right? And look, you have a thing today where they won't let you bring cell phones into certain shows, right? Have you had that happen where your cell phone, you got to put it in some kind of lock-up case?
Yeah, they lock it up, yeah.
Unbelievable, Lubie. Can you imagine? Most people would be in a panic. That's weird, though. I mean, if you're there for 3 hours, what if the babysitter says, hey, the house is on fire?
It actually stresses me out because you don't know, especially if you have kids, you have homes. You don't, you in this day and age, that's why you have a cell phone. Like, I understand people ruin it for others, and I get that. As a performer, you don't want you have a Netflix special coming out. You don't want it to leak, but like if there's an emergency, I want to be able to get fucking reach. So yeah, I'm weird about those freaking things.
It's a little strange now. Now I don't know what we did in the past when you couldn't be reached, while you were doing something that you were engaged in a movies, a theater, or whatever. But it does seem odd in this age where you do have the possibility of being contacted immediately should something need your immediate attention. That you would have this thing on ice for well, I guess it's only an hour and a half, Lubie. So if your house caught fire, there's a chance you could get there by the time.
Oh, there you go.
By the time the blaze reached the top floor. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But we used to, that was a big thing, right? The pirated album. I think I had a couple of them. They always had a nondescript cover, like nothing on the cover. And it was interesting. And they were always recorded poorly. Like even if they had a good recording of it, they messed it up on purpose.
See, in my era, it was called mixtapes, where like in New York City, my buddy would always come back from New York with like sick mixtapes where like a bunch of different DJs, Master Flex would do it, DJ Clue would do it. And you would get a lot of songs from big time artists before they came out or upcoming artists, and people would jack them and they would put it together on a fucking cassette tape. And that was sort of like this. Now it wasn't them. Or when we were young, you would do the thing where you would take a recorder, put it up to the fucking radio. That was our, you would take a recorder, put it to the radio and just wait around all day because they would play the same 7 songs. And you could get, if you really wanted to get a fucking song, that would be the move. I remember doing that. I never did it at concerts. Like, get it. Like I don't remember doing that. No,
I got it. All right, we're going to get out of here for a little while. We're going to come back with the professor with a big board. No doubt some thoughts. I would imagine he couldn't have been any happier, could he?
He's smiling. I already see him smiling. Usually he's barely waking up. He's wiping the crust out of his eye. It looks like he woke up at 6 a.m. and did fucking laps. If anyone enjoyed that game last night, it's the one and only Ken.
Who was guilty of this oversight, though? I tried to watch this last night. I didn't get that far into it. I didn't think it was all that great. Everybody's making a big deal about this Tom Brady roast.
Let me put him on.
But how is it possible, Professor,
If you're gonna bring it up, let me put
Did,
it on.
did you not get mail or something? I mean, you turned your phone off. How is it possible that you were not invited
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
to roast Tom Brady? I mean, there would be nobody better at it than you. Never mind this Jeff Ross guy. He was
I'm
flat.
not going to talk about it at the top of the show because you may or may not have already hit on the top.
Oh, on the big board. Yeah. Oh, wow. That would be appropriate. But I'm watching this thing last night. I'm saying, what's missing here? I mean, Bledsoe's not all that funny, although he's trying. Jeff Ross, I didn't think was that funny. Kevin Hart, I never really find particularly funny, although he had a couple of decent
You
lines.
and me are the only people in America who don't ever find him funny.
I don't like Hart.
He's all right, but
I think he's overrated.
It's not like he's Robin Williams or something. But
I never thought he was.
Well, you're right about that. He's not Robin Williams. He's more talented than that. But
I don't know. I'm a big Robin Williams.
I like Robin Williams.
I love Robin Williams.
You and Lubie,
I love. Robin
here's my thing with Robin Williams: is I don't care whether you're a fan or not. Comedy is very subjective. When you do the same stupid 5 routines every movie for 45 years, and they still talk about how you ad-lib and improv. Oh, he makes his voice go like that, and then his voice go like this. Oh my God, what a comedic genius! It's not like we've seen him do that 57 times in 56 different movies throughout the year.
Well, I'm thinking more about his stage act than his acting. Yeah.
I don't know. I like him as a comic.
Yeah, I mean, as a stand-up comic, I mean, the guy, I thought he killed it. I thought he was fantastic. But and the movies, come see, come say. I could see where somebody might have thought that he was a little overrated as an actor.
Again, we've talked about this. The problem I have with Robin Williams is Dead Poets Society. I was just in that age group when Dead Poets Society came in. When I was
everywhere.
But I think
every fucking teacher in America wanted to start to reach out to me and be an emotional guider for kids and guide the youth. I didn't want that from teachers. Just put the grade on the paper and shut the fuck up.
I would think you with your ability
people
for extemporaneous rants and dissertations, I would have loved Robin Williams because that was kind of his game. But all right, well, we'll move on from that. We know somebody that you don't really care for, and I would imagine that that's going to be a lot of fun to dissect here. I don't want to mention again the Brady roast, but if it is going to be the big board, I think it's going to be spectacular.
It may come up, yes.
Yeah. All right, so we're coming back with the professor. I mean, you had to love this burial of the Boston Celtics last night.
I enjoyed it. Yeah,
oh my God, how great was that? Did you have any inclination? I mean, I know you'll take a couple of shots more so than some of the rest of us.
I mean, I'm a little depressed by the Celtics in the NBA playoffs because I think they're going to come out of the East.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, it's like the Heat series. When you get the moment, you got to thoroughly enjoy it. And then, you got to enjoy the Celtics fans because they all left with 5 minutes. They all pulled.
Oh, that was great, man.
And left with 5 minutes left to go in the game. So,
they were on their way back to, Newton Worcester. Or whatever. I mean, Worcester. And very depressed. All right, we're coming back with a professor and a big board here on a Degenerate Friday edition of the show. Mike Lubie Lubitz, Jeff DeForest. We got the professor here, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that
the time.
It's 8:35.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
The professor's big board.
The big board.
Yeah, there we go.
Who would be a better vice presidential pick? than throw Rogan. Phil Mickelson. In the world, you have to deal with a lot of scumbags. You have to deal with a lot of nations that we find distasteful. And guess what? Phil Mickelson's already in business with all of them. And let's be honest, don't we want this in our vice president? Don't we want a guy who just
Openly
for no
corrupt.
reason dresses like he's on his way to a Tijuana donkey show?
Yeah.
Just does that socially for no reason. Don't we want a guy who looks like he has a collection of Girls Gone Wild videos, all of them, in his house to be the vice president? And it doesn't matter. Whatever the worst country, whatever you think the worst country on the world is, Phil Mickelson has tried to do an NFT deal with them for the last 2 or 3 years.
No doubt. Be good for the expansion of gambling, too, in the United States if he becomes VP.
Again, this is Phil Mickelson. We want to fix inflation. We want to fix the economy. Let's bet the future on the Rams for the Super Bowl.
Very nice. All right.
And again, that just screams dignity and vice presidential nature. Honestly.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on The Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday edition of the program here. We have the professor with us. Before we get to the big board, which I'm wildly anticipating today, now that we have some kind of inclination about where it's going, any handicapping endeavors that you're going to be involved in tonight that you can make any recommendations on for the people out there?
I'm sheer hunching it tonight. I think Denver bounces back and wins this game. I may go down with the ship here. But I feel like Jokic and Murray get it up for at least one game, get their way back into the series. I wouldn't be surprised if, well, let's be honest, we get a little help from the NBA on that front. Because certainly wouldn't be good for ratings if we get swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Imagine Minnesota OKC.
Does Minnesota have any fans?
Even A-Rod doesn't show up at the game.
We were there, no.
I feel like, Minneapolis, if you open the stadium, like 5,000 people show up just in case there's a Prince show.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's literally nobody in the stadium. And as much as I think like hardcore basketball heads love Anthony Edwards, I don't know if nationally he's right there yet. So, yeah, I don't look on. I think you might get a difficult situation for the Timberwolves to get a victory tonight. So
it's not really an intimidating place to play.
I'll take Minnesota. What are they, +5, give or take right now?
I think you're getting you're getting 4 and a hook with the Nuggets.
Yeah, so that looks like a pretty good spot to me.
Okay, what about the Pacers? Nick supposedly, Anunoby's out. I know that. And
right now, honestly, at 7. You're basically betting on Brunson not to play, I would say. I think that number initially opened up at like 4.5, and is now moved up to 7 on the news that Brunson is a game-time decision. It's probably a pass for me. If anything, I would probably lean a little bit towards the Knicks because as Lubie and I were talking about yesterday, they seem to get these random performances from, again, I don't want to call these guys scrubs, but from, let's say, less than stellar NBA players, guys like Josh Hart, guys like Dante DiVincenzo, Hartenstein. It won't be Anunoby again because he got hurt, but it was him the other night. Very reminiscent of the Heatles last year. Guys like Gabe Vincent and Max Struz and Caleb Martin coming through with these big games time and time again, and they sort of seem to take turns doing it. So in that sense, reminiscent of last year's Heat squad. So I wouldn't bet against the Knicks even at 7, but I'm not really leaning towards them necessarily either.
I can't believe this thing took 3 hours, by the way. I have Netflix. I was thinking about.
Oh, can we talk about the Derby real quick?
Sure. Did you have Mystic Dan by any chance?
I didn't. Well, I did, but I had him under. I needed the Japanese horse. I needed
really? Wow, Forever Young.
Finished third, but
No, Sierra Leone was tackling.
Half ahead, maybe.
Yeah. Like what?
Sierra Leone took care of that.
Sierra's like tackling people.
Tyler Gaffalione, there's a picture of Tyler Gaffalione, the jockey on Sierra Leone, actually grabbing either the horse or the other jockey, the Japanese kid who was riding Forever Young, and he actually has his hand on him. It looks like one of those Ben-Hur scenes. where the guy whips out a thing and cuts all the spokes out of the
Well,
tire.
I mean, I still needed him first, so it wouldn't have done me any good. Take the two down, I don't care. But
he was right there.
yeah, I mean, that's what makes horse racing.
You did better than us, that's for sure. Yeah. I think we were last and next to last. I don't know if they pay off any exacta for that, but yeah, the
I was not. I wanted to see Fierceness do it because of obviously the Florida Derby.
Wow, what a disappointment there.
Yeah.
That horse, though, throws in a stinker after every good race, which is not necessarily a total stinker, but very, very low numbers on the Beyer speed figures, bouncing out of unbelievably first-class performances. So I felt okay throwing Fierceness out. I didn't feel as comfortable throwing out Sierra Leone, which we did do, and unfortunately we had nothing that was anywhere near the finish line when the race was over. Dead last. They give you your money back in some places if you can pick dead last. Well, we were doomed, though. Todd Schrupp touted the 8-ball, which was just a touch, Paulie pick.
Yeah.
And you can't knock the Paulie Man. I mean, if he picks a loser every now and then, that's okay because he's done great overall in terms of Derby futures. But as soon as Schrupp picked him on TV the day before the race, I told the Paulie Man, and he stopped telling people that was his pick. He disavowed any connection to the horse just a touch.
Well, like I said, that race was what makes horse racing both beautiful and great and also just terrible. Because obviously, fantastic race, but if you didn't have the winner, you were so close that you were so in it. It's like a double punch in the balls.
Got to go for those 5-horse trifecta boxes. Now we had the wrong horses all the way around this time, but nonetheless, that paid very, very handsomely. I mean, it was like an $1,100 try for 3 horses that weren't that far fetched. Although Mystic Dan, some people liked him, but still went off at like 18-1. So not exactly one of the comfortable choices there. All right, you want to get to it, Professor?
Sure.
Are we ready?
And
all
of
right,
course,
here we go.
Had, an incident over the weekend that America can't stop talking about, full of people really who, if anybody had any common sense, everybody would despise, but who everybody sucks up to.
Yeah.
For reasons I don't really understand. And I'm not just talking about one Tom Brady. I'm talking about really the whole panel. It's full of just awful people who America gloms on. Well, I'm talking about professional gambling tout and midget Kevin Hart. Really, such a horrible human being. I don't know. She shows up on these roasts, but nowhere else. Nikki Glasser, like I don't really
love Nikki Glaser. All of a sudden, we had her in studio. I'm like, she's okay.
Yeah, like all female comics, not really particularly funny. But you put her in these
all female comics.
Jeff Ross, another one who's I subscribe to the Christopher Hitchens.
Man's Rickles, this guy, yeah.
Jeff Ross, who people love in these roasts, but like, have you ever seen him in anything else? Is this just what he does?
That's it. Yeah.
What does he do the rest of the year? Does he just stand around on corners?
It's like he was banging a fairly hot chick. Yeah, he had a pretty good looking young chick with him.
Like, for guys like a stand-up comic in the roast master, like, did anybody ever hear for you before Comedy Central started doing these roasts?
Oh, no, Jeff Ross.
No, never heard of him.
Anybody ever heard, like, how are you the only comedian who's famous and doesn't have a Netflix special? You're so brilliant and talented. Like, again, what do you do the rest of the year? Just, like, stand around in corners and tell people, hey, tell me something about your life so I can make fun of you about it. I don't really understand. Anyway, so that was, really one of the big things in sports this week. And we're going to talk about the big board of the best, meaning the worst, moments of the Tom Brady roast. And we're going to start with number 5, which, of all things, the one thing you can't make a joke about, the one thing that Tom Brady didn't make a joke about, is the fact that Rob Kraft loves Asian prostitutes. Like, what is going on in this country? We now love 80-year-old billionaire perverts. Like, how the hell is that the one thing of all the things that got said on this show that you're not allowed to comment on? And this has been confirmed now by like 3 or 4 of the people on the show, is that this was it was not a work. It was not a fake moment. Apparently Tom Brady and Tom Brady's people made it clear at front the one thing you were not allowed to talk about was Robert Kraft's perverted sexual habits. The fact that Robert Kraft is a sex offender. Well, I don't know about the Tom Brady roast. But on this show, we have brought up the fact that Robert Kraft is a sex offender and continues probably to be a sex offender. I mean, as far as I know, he's getting a hand job from some Asian sex slave right at this very moment.
Probably while he's watching this show.
And I don't
hear he's
care
a big
that
fan.
I don't care that you're a billionaire and that you're a very powerful, decrepit old pervert. I'll continue to point out why, because I know for a point of fact there actually is a tape that proves this, that your lawyers got quashed because of entrapment reasons during that Jupiter case. But we know for 100% fact that it exists, or at least at one point existed, and that's the truth. The truth of the matter, despite what Tom Brady and Tom Brady's people don't want you joking about, is that Robert Kraft is a perverted old sex offender. And
Mayo
I don't know why. Of all
Mayo
the things
says
you could
that.
do,
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to step on you there. I just had to interject. Mayo says that Ross is really funny.
I don't doubt that he's really funny.
Yeah.
He's really funny on the shows. I want to know, like, if he's so funny, why does he only work this particular venue? Like,
I've never seen him do anything else, honestly.
hey, honest, you see all these other stand-ups and they branch into other things.
Yeah.
Fucking Jerry Seinfeld's making movies about goddamn Pop-Tarts. Kevin Hart's pitching gambling. Like, comedians do all the things. Jeff Ross just like found this thing. It's like, I'm good. I'm going to stop. Once a year, I'm going to show up to do a roast, and that's all. That's my job now. Like, can a roast really pay that freaking much? You can live off just doing a roast once every couple of years?
It's had to be a bonanza for everybody that was involved if they were getting paid, which I would imagine they had to be.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Again, giving the people. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. So, that was weird. That was a weird moment. I mean, a little bit of Will Smith.
Okay, well,
there.
Mayo says
Don't
that's
talk about
actually
my
his
wife
job.
like that.
That is what he does. Yeah,
He insults people online for money. I didn't know that was a job.
Well, what is the
Now that-
thing where people pay that have you say happy birthday, Johnny? What the fuck is it called? Cameo. I think he does that. I think he does a lot of
People
that. Yeah.
pay Jeff Ross to
the
insult
roast.
him on Cameo. How is that?
That's a big thing.
Okay. I mean,
Good job if you can get it.
Ways now, man. What do you want?
Yeah.
we need to establish a new business then where we can go around to the local casinos and we'll stand at the front door and tell people, don't go in, give me half your money, I will punch you in the balls. Save you half and you can turn around and get the same feeling and get the fuck out of here. Because people actually pay Jeff Ross to go on Cameo on the internet and insult them. Like, I don't know what else. Do they provide the research material too? Because it's not like Jeff Ross knows your wife is fat and your kid's failing science. Like, you send a dossier to Jeff Ross so he knows what to say to you?
You'd have to send him a few things, I would imagine.
Right?
I mean, we
gotta
offered
provide the material.
We offered that same.
What kind of career is this? That people, oh, Jesus Christ.
We offer that same kind of service at the track, where people coming in, we offer to take half your money and give you the rest back. And then this way you don't have to go in there and lose it all. So you come out ahead. It works. Yeah, so Kraft was off limits. That's kind of interesting because you would have thought that would have been the easiest landscape of comedy material that you could ever possibly invade. But with this Asian spa between like a bagel shop and some bicycle repair place, and there they are in a strip mall in Jupiter. Kraft's got his plane warming up at the Palm Beach airport, getting ready immediately after he gets his blowjob to jump on the plane and be at a Patriot game in the box there.
Not only easiest material in the history of material in roast, but the most deserved material in roast. Again, since when does any country do you love billionaire perverts? Like, what is that? It's like you flash back to the 70s and everybody think Bob Guccione was the greatest guy around. It's like Tom Brady watches the fucking Simpsons and thinks Mr. Burns is the hero.
All right, we're only on number 5 here. How dare you joke about that? And that was interesting to see Brady say, "Hey,"
and that takes it to number 4, which is probably my personal favorite moment because not only was it a stupid line, but it was just a blatant lie, and that's. Of course they fucking cheated when you were there, Randy Moss. You were on the fucking team the year they got caught cheating and penalized for it. What the hell are you talking about? Turns around and screams at Brady and Kraft and Belichick, why the fuck didn't we cheat when I was there? Dude, that was the year they got caught for it. How much
obviously knew nothing about it.
Smoking, Randy Moss, that you didn't realize that was a constant story around your team on that. again, and now the speculation since is that they didn't want to tell Randy Moss about the cheating because number one, Randy Moss didn't need to cheat, and number two, he's so fucking stupid that they were afraid he was going to accidentally tell somebody about it.
Well, we took the air out of the
What
footballs.
the hell were you talking about? Why didn't we cheat when I was there? That was the year, Randy Moss. You were on the team the year the whole thing exploded in your face and came out. Like, the hell were you doing? I mean, I can't even speculate. What, smoking PCP with Aaron Hernandez? Like, what? How do you block the fact that you got caught cheating while you were a Patriot out of your head? I don't get it.
Kind of crazy, yeah. I mean, the Aaron Hernandez references too, where you would have thought maybe that would have been seen more in poor taste than even the Robert Kraft stuff.
Why? Again, that was one of the stories I read after the thing is that Aaron Hernandez's fiance,
She's pissed,
was offended by Aaron Hernandez material during the roast. Really? You know what's offensive? Serial killers are offensive.
I'm telling you, how did you not have a spot on this dais there, Professor?
So casual about shooting
God.
people in the face that you went and bought fucking Hubba Bubba. And the fact that you're a grown man who chews Hubba Bubba is actually more offensive than doing jokes about Aaron Hernandez. Are you kidding me? Aaron Hernandez's family is offensive.
Yeah, like who cares?
Offended by this.
Send this to Netflix, Lubie. Send this to Netflix. Tell them they
Honestly,
whiffed.
you know what? Call Jeffrey Ross. I got like an extra 50 around here somewhere that I will send him if he will just randomly iPhone call Aaron Hernandez's fiance and insult her after this. Because if any human being deserves it, it's a woman who would marry fucking Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
That's number 4. Randy Moss. At
Number
the Tom
3,
Brady roast.
And I'm just going to say, America, as it always does, has finally come around to my way of thinking because the one universal response to all of this was that who was the low moment of the evening? Ben Affleck. And let's go ahead and say, when you go out and get plastic surgery so you can eerily start to look like Tom Brady, and then still say you were the shit point of the evening,
So when
you must really suck. Like, that's got to suck. And the other thing I got to say, I am actually opposite on the reaction of this one because when Ben Affleck comes on and is doing a roast and does 6 minutes about how much he hates people on the internet, been watching the show, Ben? Hi, if so. Been insulting Tom Brady on the internet and you're upset about it? Well, if you haven't caught this show, maybe you should because it might scare the plastic off your new face.
This was so perfect for you, Professor. I mean, all of your favorite targets were there. Incredible. But he does look different there, Affleck. What the hell did he do, man? He usually looks like he just slept in his car.
Tom Brady's doctor is what he looks like. It looked like earlier in the year, or early of that last year that Brady played where he had to take 2 weeks off at the top of the season. He showed up with a weird case of Ozempic face and his 19th
Ozempic face.
and his 19th chin since he started in the NFL. Yeah, it's kind of what like Ben Affleck looks like right here in this picture. Like you went to the doctor and said, "Can I get a Tom Brady face?" You got to go and do a roast where I'm supposed to be insulting Tom Brady and everybody in the dance, and instead I'm just going to insult random Patriots fans from a fucking message board. I don't even have to do the jokes here. Like Ben Affleck was so unhinged and pathetic. I don't get it other than to say we've been trying to warn you for a long ass time, America, that that's what these people are. Thin-skinned, reactive, and sad. The only thing Ben Affleck could do is go get jerked off with an 80-year-old man and would have made for a perfect evening.
Number 2 from the Tom Brady roast.
This is how bad the Tom Brady roast of the people involved, whether it's Tom Brady, whether it's Dana White, who for some reason is like a billionaire who's worried about trans people now. Like, because, yeah, Dana, you know, that's who needs picking on by you is trans people. Whether it's Julian Edelman, whether it's Rob Gronkowski, all of these people so collectively awful that they actually made me feel a little bit sorry for Kim Kardashian. Like that, you have a collection of the worst people you could find. Again, you've got an 80-year-old billionaire sex criminal. You've got
Belichick was there, and
Bill Belichick was so morally reprehensible that everybody forgets about the 80-year-old pervert.
Right.
Ben
Affleck,
Affleck,
right.
Tom Brady. So what do they got to do? They got to import the one person in America they can find who everybody will hate even more than these people. So they went out and got Kim Kardashian.
A beautiful choice, yeah.
And everybody immediately started booing her. Tom Brady comes back and does jokes about her. Everybody, or the other guy who I don't know, who I kind of thought actually stole the show in like 2 minutes, does a joke about her, I guess we'll say genitals, being the size of a whale. Jokes about her interracial sex habits. I have no problems with any of this because Kim Kardashian is generally a human being, should be scorned, not because of her personal life choices, but just because she has made America so much stupider than it has been.
The whole influencer thing is because of that.
But you talk about like a Judas goat where you have a collection of the worst human beings you could possibly find, and you got to bring in Kim Kardashian so they can all have somebody to feel better about themselves. It actually made me feel sympathy for Kim Kardashian, and I did not think that was humanly possible. Speaking of which,
yes,
yeah,
probably the most celebrated moment of the show, or at least the one that made the most post news. Tom Brady gets up to stick it to everybody with all his lame ass jokes that somebody wrote for him, and the biggest pop of the night is him doing a joke about Kim Kardashian having to be worried because her kids are with their father, Kanye West. And that brings us to number one, which is people in glass houses, Tom Brady.
I knew you would get
People
to
in
this.
glass houses making jokes about Kanye West's fatherhood. People in glass houses who get naked massages while making out with their children probably shouldn't be doing jokes about someone else's lack of skills as a father. Like, you can say what you want about Kanye. I will say the same. The one thing for all his outfits, and boy, you talk about a guy who wears some weird ass outfits.
Yeah.
The one thing he does not do is make out with his kids while naked on a massage table.
There was a lot of stuff. I mean, how they missed you, Professor. It's amazing.
Once every 2 or 3 years shows up in a picture where he and his own son don't look like father and son, but look like a married gay couple. I would not be commenting on another man's style of parenting.
Excellent stuff all the way around, Professor. Did you even get any kind of an invitation to this thing, or they overlooked you completely? I can't imagine.
You think I might be a little too rough and tumble for that particular?
No, you would have been perfect. What are you talking about?
Really rough. I haven't.
What are you talking about? Like, no, of course I was not invited to that. I would have done 15 minutes on Bob Kraft.
You could have asked Leslie Visser to go with you. Yeah, that would have been great.
Those are the two things. I haven't seen it yet.
I didn't even think of that. Honestly, we should have asked her if we had known this thing was going on.
Maybe Leslie could have done an invitation. Connections to Kraft. And
we could just grab the mic and started going on.
Yeah, she had brought you along. That would have been perfect.
Damn, I wish I thought about that.
Any way to get in there. I mean, you should have found any way in there and made your way up to the stage. That would have been fantastic. That would have made that whole thing. Never mind. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it and drawing a lot of attention. But I didn't think it was all that spectacular, to be honest with you. I mean, I got tired about half an hour in.
I don't dig the whole roast thing. I don't find it to be a particularly.
Those Dean Martin roasts used to be pretty good when he was doing that on a regular basis on TV, considering the parameters and the guidelines that he had to operate under, which were going to eliminate any kind of cursing or swearing or anything
more
like
restrictive.
that.
Yeah,
sexual, references.
Again, I
race.
was interested in the reaction to it. It's not my personal. Again, like, I like a lot of comedians, and I do think Jeff Ross is a talented guy, but like, if this is all the work you do, well, I'm probably not going to notice all that.
It's a good gig, yeah, for sure. All right, Professor, what do you got going this weekend? Anything special? You're going to be watching hoops, hockey, what?
I'm definitely going to be watching hoops. Probably not so much the hockey because, as we discussed last week, I'm not a Canadian and therefore
Yep.
do not enjoy ice soccer. But yeah, I think both of the series involved last night got a lot more interesting with both
Sure did.
dogs
Yeah.
covering. Didn't have a money line parlay, but I would have been a lot more interested if I did last night.
Oh yeah, we got plus 650 on the Cavs, which seemed a little low considering they were getting
Right,
13
and then probably another like plus 175 on the Mavs. So
I believe they were plus
What was it,
150 last night, something like
150?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, minus 185 on Oklahoma City, which you would have had every reason to believe that they would have a repeat performance, except for the fact that they ended up when Holmgren made that three at the end of the first quarter on the Leitner play. Did you see that shot?
I did.
They throw the ball 3/4 of the court. He makes the catch. It really did look like Leitner, except not quite from the top of the key, a little bit off on the wing side. But
Also not stomping a black man while he did it to be different from Leitner.
And then the guy just turns and fires. Not an easy shot, and it goes right through. And you thought, okay, that's it. They're within three, and this thing is going to turn around. But
Really, when you
never
think
did.
about it, the collection of people that were at the Brady roast, Christian Leitner would have fit right in. Someone should have fucking invited him.
Almost any asshole will do. That was what
Right,
it said on
it's
the
like
invitation.
a horrible human being that was noted for their athletic. A complete scumbag who was noted for. They should have invited Leitner. They should have invited that legless runner guy from South Africa who murdered his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oliver,
OJ. Like they
from the grave.
They pretty much a lot of OJ references there.
When was this filmed? Right?
They were probably alive when they did the show, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it was live last Sunday night. I believe it was live.
I didn't know it was a live event.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Professor.
Then, I assume OJ would have gotten an invite and then not been able to step. But really, just any horrible human being who had an athletic accomplishment. There you go.
Well, would have been on the scene.
Would have
big
fit
oversight
right in with
though.
The crowd.
Big oversight on Netflix part, not having the number one roaster of Tom Brady, our own Professor. Professor, always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us.
You guys have a great one.
Professor, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the best.
Wouldn't he have made the whole show?
Oh my God! Oh, especially if but that's the problem is you weren't allowed to go after Kraft, and from what I know, I haven't watched it. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. But the clips I've seen, no one went after the kid thing. And that wasn't
that's true.
People talk about that too. So the two things he would and the thing he would have done with Giselle, and they all made fun of Giselle fucking the trainer, or him carrying, or rather going 500 over being with his family. None of them did the German thing with Giselle. So the places Ken would have gone are the places that they probably would have said you can't go. Yeah. So that's the only issue where even in a roast, Ken would have crossed the imaginary lines that don't exist.
I guess they made a lot of money on that. Who was saying it? Brian was saying that they paid Brady $25 million.
That makes sense. For Brady to sit there and let people skewer him, he got paid a crap load of money. Like he's not going to do that. Nothing.
Well, they got their share of attention out of it because people are talking about it all over the place for sure. And when I'm watching it, it was transpiring. It was very slow moving to me.
I hate roast.
I probably watched it for about an hour, waiting for it to get good, and I didn't think that much of it. I really didn't. I thought it was, some of the jokes really didn't fly all that well, right? And they never really got any big rhythm going. And then Brady gets up there. He was actually, I guess, for $25 million, you can have a big smile on your face the entire time too. Right?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. Never get involved in that sort of thing, my friend. You can only lose. All right, we got to run. We will. I'm going to tap in from here. Still waiting for this stupid Achilles brace from. Whatever this rehab place is that was supposed to give it to me on Tuesday. Yet to hear from him. So hopefully they got this thing going, and I'll be on the path to wellness again, Mike Lubie, instead of like destroying myself every day. But I will tap in from here for the Gulfstream show. And you'll be out there, 10 Palms, with Tony Segreto and, of course, the great Mike Mayo.
Yes.
And we'll have a Mike Mayo's lunchbox at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
We got some good things coming up next week we'll tell you about also. So thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. And we will see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.